Sensuality is an enriching experience that transcends mere physical touch. It invites us to explore openness and vulnerability, creating deeper connections with others. By engaging in mindful touch, we enhance our awareness of each other's desires and boundaries. This practice cultivates intimacy as it encourages honest communication and emotional safety. Each caress becomes a dialogue between bodies, transcending words and allowing us to connect on a profound level. Embracing the art of sensuality fosters trust, reigniting passion and curiosity in relationships. It's a journey of discovery, inviting us to celebrate the beauty of human connection through the transformative power of touch.
Hello and welcome, dear listeners, to Pleasure Principles. I'm your host Avik, and here we dive into the conversations that explore everything about connection, intimacy, and pleasure. Because life is way too short for anything less, right? So today we are all about making the mundane magical. Imagine this: morning and night routines with your partner that don't just focus on physical intimacy, but create a lasting connection and spark. And who better to talk about these sensual practices than Annie Delrey? Welcome to the show, Annie.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Lovely, lovely. So, Annie, before we start our conversation, I'd quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Dear listeners, Annie is a powerhouse health and wellness coach who has helped hundreds find the confidence, wellness, and pure joy in their relationships. So Annie brings her signature style, a mix of heart and humor, as we uncover how to bring pleasure and connection into everyday routines. So buckle up for some tips, laughs, and maybe a new nightly ritual or the two. So welcome to the show again.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Lovely, lovely. So Annie, how important do you think that, shared routines are in maintaining the connection?
I'll be honest, I think it's absolutely everything. I think that to have a healthy, loving relationship, you have to work at it daily. And it's not something that you should just celebrate on your anniversary. It should, and I'm not saying buy flowers every day. It's not even like that. But I do think we should be showing love, whether physically or emotionally, mentally, every day.
Exactly. And when it comes to the intimacy, why do we often focus on the nighttime over the morning routines? What do you say on this?
That's a great question. I think because I think there's a few reasons. So number one, some of the people I coach, they don't wake up at the same time, or there's kiddos involved. So especially if your kiddos are still sleeping in bed with you, or they get up earlier. So the mom or dad has to, or two moms, right? Two dads have to get up with the kiddos, or they're waking up already stressed about work with 100 things on their mind, a lot of rushing. So the mornings is more of survival mode. Like, okay, got to get up. We got to get this going. We got to get out of here. And nighttime, ideally, would be the wind down time.
Exactly. That's totally true. Yeah. Thanks for sharing this. And also, what did you say to the couples who are too busy or tired to think about creating a sensual morning routine?
I would tell them that there are super simple ways to do it. So should I just say a few of those simple ways, or am I jumping ahead? Okay, great. So the first one would be, aside from if you have completely different schedules, like for example, some of my clients work the night shift and their partner doesn't. But if you work similar schedules, wake up together, lay together. This could mean cuddling for literally 2 minutes. It does not have to be a whole cuddle session. Something that my partner and I do that if I'm being honest, I've never heard another couple do is I have him lay on top of me,
Mm.
almost like one of those weighted blankets.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most bonding things I've ever experienced. And the idea is this is not supposed to lead to sex or anything. This is just me getting that bonding moment with you. Even that usually lasts a minute or two. Um,
Mm.
Immediately saying I love you or good morning. A morning kiss does not have to be on the mouth, right? If you haven't brushed your teeth yet. But my partner, he likes to kiss me on the forehead. That's a big one.
Mm.
Another huge difference is hugging before someone leaves. Whoever is the first to leave, hugging each other, not just, okay, bye, like screaming from the other room. And another that comes to mind right now is if you make coffee or breakfast for the other person, just those small acts of kindness, I think can make a huge difference.
Lovely, lovely. That's great, Annie. Thanks for sharing this. And also at the same time, like, could we actually benefit from breaking the habit of spontaneity and instead, like, build intimacy into a routine?
I do, first of all, I love spontaneous things, but
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I think what's more important is the routine, consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't always work out, right? Like it's really difficult when you have kiddos. You have no idea what you're waking up to. You might have had a long night, especially if you're new parents. But for the
Yeah.
people who don't have kids,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of sounds aggressive. I don't want to say there's no excuses, but it, I guess I'll just say there's I guess I'll just say there's no real excuses.
Okay, okay, okay. So, so you are a big on self-care. So, should each partner focus on their own routines before integrating them together?
um, that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm, I do think it's really important for people to have their individuality,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there should be a mix of both.
Okay.
I'm sorry if that's not the best answer, but yeah, I do think there should be a little bit of both.
Okay. Okay. No issue. Yeah. Totally fine. Yeah. So, for the listeners, like, who may find this a kind of bit woo woo. So, how would you explain the benefits of non penetrative intimacy?
I would say the lack of expectations is a beautiful thing. So, for example, some of my clients will say, I really want a foot rub or a back rub, but my partner expects there to lead to penetration. And it
Hmm.
doesn't make it as fun because now I can't sit back and enjoy what I
Yeah.
feel my partner is doing is counting down the minutes or seconds until this can become more.
Hmm.
So I think that's really important of actually having zero expectations because it somewhat leads to pressure.
True, true, and not able to enjoy those moments because it's everything like okay, okay, okay. I have to do this, I have to do that, like this.
Yes, the pressure to perform. So whether that's,
Mm.
oh my gosh, now I have to have the energy, or now I have to fake how I'm feeling, or oh, I didn't shower yet, and now I'm going to think about that the entire time. Um,
Yes.
Sometimes for women, it's I didn't shave, and now I'm embarrassed. I don't feel sexy, and now I'm feeling this pressure to perform. I know I keep using that phrase, but that's
Mm.
essentially what it is. It's pressure.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And like what you say, like how can partners get comfortable with the sensual acts without feeling the pressure to take things all the way?
I think having a discussion to set that foundation first. So don't
Mm.
have the discussion in the middle of a foot rub, but
Mhm.
outside of something. So, for example, let's say you're eating dinner
Yeah.
somewhere where you're obviously not going to be touching each other at that exact
Mm.
moment, but And this is the same for any couples, like, especially if they have a disagreement, don't talk about behavior changes during the disagreement. Talk about it in a low stakes environment.
True. Understood. Got it. And like, do you believe that intimacy routines can strengthen the emotional resilience, especially during those tough times?
Oh, 100%. 100%. There is nothing like someone holding your hand through a tough time or hugging you when you need that little extra love and rubbing your back, rubbing your feet. I think it makes a huge difference on your mental health. Definitely. Even if it's just words of affirmation and there's absolutely no physical touch.
Yeah. Understood. Understood. And like, how do you approach the situations where one partner is interested in this routine, but the other feels kind of unsure?
That's a great question, too.
Mm-hmm.
Being curious and asking for their opinion. So maybe you're not on the same page, but what can you be on the same page about? So, for example, maybe it's, hey, we should start holding hands more often. When we're watching something or we're both on our phones on the couch, can we just hold hands? Truly, these little behavior changes. And also, it's a huge red flag if your partner is not willing to discuss it or make changes. That's a red flag in the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, do you think that non-verbal connection, like the eye contact or breathing together, can be more impactful than the words in these routines?
Yeah, at some points, definitely. An example that comes to mind that is very common with couples is put down your phone and look me in the eyes. Put down, put down the phone, and it's for both sexes, right? I'm not saying either or does it more, but it's a form of respect. I'm giving you my full attention. Why are you playing this video on blast when I'm trying to talk to you about my work day? So that's when I hear the word eye contact, I think you made a beautiful point. That's the example that comes to mind.
Wow. Wow. Lovely. And also, like, if you can share, like, some of these simple but powerful acts that couples can try in the morning to set a positive tone for the day.
I definitely think the simplest and quickest could be waking up to I love you or so excited to spend this day with you, or even something such as discussing what you're going to do for dinner. That's a big love language for my partner and I is cooking breakfast for each other or cooking dinner for each other. That's, what do you feel like having tonight? Oh, I know broccoli is your favorite. I'm going to try a new broccoli dish.
Perfect. Lovely. So, I mean, and also, like, how can couples start adding that sensuality into their routines? Like, if they have lost a bit of that spark.
I think it's another great question. I think something that would help is just determining one behavior change. So ideally, you would be cuddling. Ideally, someone would make coffee or tea for the other. Ideally, you would hug each other before leaving or waking up at the same time. But just committing to at least one action and start with that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
And actually, especially if you're not doing the best in the relationship.
Yeah, that definitely gives that spark to start again, regain that space. What do you say?
Definitely. And I will be honest, something that I think I especially love about my partner is our ability to joke. So let's say we have a tiff. Pretty much very shortly after, we'll make a joke about it. Or I know when I'm frustrated with my partner, one of the first things he does is clean the kitchen. I'm sure he thinks this woman will be happier with a clean kitchen. So, or one of us it's usually me. We'll be in the other room just taking a little time out, and he'll come in and be like, well, do you want something to eat? And I'll say, okay, still in a little sassy tone, but that's an act of love to make me dinner. That's a beautiful thing. So being able to be a little more lighthearted as opposed to not everything has to be the hill to die on.
Yeah, true. So, also, like when we're talking about this and how spark can release. So, also one more thing is like, if you can share, maybe from your clients or from your end as well. Like, I mean, if you can share like a fun or surprising example of a nightly ritual that's actually brought the real connection for the couples. So any example if you can share?
Something that comes to mind is my partner and I, we always go to bed at the same time. Always. It doesn't matter if one of us is a little more awake or not. We always go to bed together. And then we have this tradition for the last, I think, 2.5 years of we play Wordle together.
Oh.
And it's silly, right? It's not, but it's a nice accomplishment before we go to bed. It's, I think in the 2.5 years we've done it, we haven't won twice. So we always feel good. We always are able to congratulate the other. There's good teamwork, non-competitive, which, may be hard for more competitive couples. And then another thing that I absolutely love is my partner will kiss me on the forehead right before bed. That's our, okay, good night. And that's our nice closing. And again, just reminding your partner, I love you. Or even if the day was rough, like I'm still glad I'm doing this with you.
Yeah. That's lovely. That's really lovely. And like, do you believe that focusing on the physical presence, like gentle touches, can improve the emotional intimacy as well?
Yes. Yes. Like, for example, sometimes I have my partner, I love when he rubs my head.
Yeah. Okay.
It just feels good. And, again, it's not leading to anything. It just feels nice. Like, thank you for giving me attention. I appreciate it, even if he is on his phone.
Yeah. That's true.
Another thing I do sometimes, and it sounds very sexual, but it's not, is I'll straddle him on the couch and lay on him. Okay. So he'll be sitting up, I will too, but it's, again, somewhat like the weighted blanket. It just feels so good to be getting that bonding moment, whether it lasts 30 seconds or 2 minutes.
That feeling of relax, that definitely.
Yes. And usually, I'll be honest, usually what happens is my legs will get tired. So I'll get up, I'll stumble away. Sometimes I fall on the ground. We end up laughing hysterically because this nice peaceful moment now turned into me somewhat like a spaz. So even those, like, that's a lot of fun to be able to joke together.
Yeah. Understood. Good. So I mean, that's really, really lovely. And before we wrap, any advice you'd like to share with the listeners, to the couples, or maybe the new couples who are newly bonded or maybe connected very recently? So any tips or advice you would like to share?
This is more of a outside of the bedroom, but it plays a huge role, is be really careful who you talk to about your relationship with, because that will also make a huge difference. So for example, let's say, I don't talk to my friends or family about my relationship really, but let's say you call your best friend and you talking badly about your partner. Your friend gets you all riled up. You're 3 times as mad as you were before the conversation. And then the whole night spirals.
Yeah.
And if you do have real issues or any issues come up that are a big problem, then it's time to seek professional support, such as a counselor.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm sorry. I kind of lost my train of thought with that one. But unfortunately, the people outside of the relationship also can really impact what goes on between the two partners.
Exactly. Exactly true. Yeah.
And
Lovely. Great.
oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, please continue. Yeah.
And that's especially important for new couples, especially important because for a lot of times, aside from social media, we are going to people with our problems as opposed to how amazing things are. So what they're hearing is all the bad things about your partner, not all the little good things that happen in between.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Lovely. That's really great. And Annie, thank you so much for taking us through this journey of creating that deeper connection in everyday life. And for the listeners, I would love to mention, like, whether it's a gentle touch or simply sharing a quiet moment, remember that intimacy isn't always about the grand gestures. It's just showing up fully present for both of them. I mean, for each other. So, if you are inspired, try out one of these routines with your partner and see what happens. So, Annie, like before we move, if someone wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
They can go to my website.
Mhm.
It's just my first and last name.com. So anniedelray.com. Or if they, let's say they're really into social media, they can Instagram message me. And that's at Coach Annie Delrey.
Mhm.
Especially if they tried one of the tips. I would absolutely love to know their experience if they've tried one of the tips.
Wow, that's lovely, dear listeners. So go and try it out, dear listeners, and do let Annie know about the experiences. So until next time, keep the pleasures, principles alive, and make every day a little more special. So with this, thank you so much.
Thank you again for having me.